Ian Rappaport says there's mutual interest between the Patriots and Alabama offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien in a reunion to fill the team's offensive coordinator vacancy, a position he previously held with the Patriots. This report comes after Nick Saban said yesterday he doesn't think O'Brien's trying to leave Alabama. Former Patriot Dan Copen played for O'Brien and was asked by our own Phil Perry why it would be a good idea to bring him back.
Continuity. Nothing in that offense changed. Everything that Mac Jones learned last year will continue, and Billy O is a teacher, and he's got a great grasp on the offensive system, the offensive scheme, the offensive concept, and he knows what to expect coming into this building with Bill Belichick. He's a worker, he's a grinder. There's no lapse. There's nothing new to lose to learn, and Mac can just continue to feel comfortable and progress in that offense that he learned last year.
Time now for the Daily Thread with Phil Perry and Tom E. Curran. Phil, you buying that there's mutual interest between the Patriots and Bill O'Brien? You saying, despite what Saban said yesterday, maybe there's a chance? Maybe?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. And what Saban said yesterday was he didn't think he was trying to leave. And all he's seen online is maybes. And I wish we had the visual of that, because I'm entertained every time I see Nick Saban interact with the media. But I certainly would not rule it out. Bill O'Brien still has connections to the area. I think he'd be interested to get his feet back into an NFL setting. And I think he'd be excited to work with Mac Jones. All the good that it did for Josh McDaniels in terms of elevating his profile to a degree and adding to his resume of being able to develop young quarterbacks, it would be a feather in the cap of Bill O'Brien to be able to come, and Mac Jones just his second year, to allow this offense or help this offense hum at a level that it's one of the most efficient in the league if they can get to that point. So I think there certainly would be interest on both sides. It's just a question of, can they figure it out?
Can they figure it out, Curran? Can they?
Yeah, they can figure it out. I think one interesting thing about Bill O'Brien is, if he boomerangs, he's not like some of the other coaches who boomeranged. And Josh McDaniels being one of them, Matt Patricia, another. And he has so much separation from the Patriots since he left in 2011, Phil, correct?
That was his last year here, yes.
So it's almost a decade of separation. So he is a fully formed and successful coach at Penn State, and he had much success in Houston despite never getting the payoff. So he could come back here and be his own man. I do think, though, that it is always hard to go back to where you're from. He went to St. John's Prep. He's from Andover. He went to Brown. He is from this area. And Josh McDaniels had to take a lot of slings and arrows, and he's one of the best coaches in the league, period. You're going to be subjected to a lot of second guessing as the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. Does he want to stay in Bama and kind of pave his way back to the NFL otherwise? Or do you say, you know what, that stuff doesn't scare me. I coached at Penn State after Joe Paterno. You kidding me? Deal me in.
He doesn't seem like the type to be intimidated all that easily.
No, he does not. But is Adam Gase the type of guy that we want to see here? Phil, you seem to think this is like a dark horse candidate. We should all be keeping an eye on him. If it's not Bill O'Brien, it's going to be Adam Gase. Do you want a staff that consists of Adam Gase, Matt Patricia, and little Stevie Belichick?
Well,
that makes you feel good about the Patriots?
It's what does Bill Belichick want, really, right? And so that's something that I was told earlier this week is just, if it doesn't get worked out with Bill O'Brien for whatever reason, keep an eye on Adam Gase. And Adam Gase was, from what I understand, in the running to be the Alabama offensive coordinator last offseason if it wasn't going to be Bill O'Brien. So there's clearly a connection there. Adam Gase worked for Nick Saban at LSU. He worked under Josh McDaniels in Denver, talked to Dan Copen, who played for Adam Gase in Denver, and he said, hey, if Adam Gase comes here and he's just focused on the offensive play calling, he thinks the language would be relatively similar because it was in Denver, because he comes from that sort of tree, Tom. So it might not be the exact same level of consistency that you would get from somebody like Bill O'Brien coming back, but there would be a level of consistency there that would, I think, again, if they can't work it out with Bill O'Brien, make him an attractive candidate here.
People forget that he had good success down in Miami. 10-6 season his first year there. Second year, Danny Amendola and Frank Gore were his leading players on offense. They were like 35 and 36 at the time. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but he's not as bad.
Yeah, you've always liked him, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you bet on a horse and you wait till he comes in, and then he drops dead on the back stretch.
Well, and Tom, to your point, though, he wouldn't be the head coach here.
No.
And so it's a vastly different role. And if he's able to focus on those things that got him to those head coaching positions, which is focusing on the offensive side of the ball, I think the level of success would be different.
I'm not signing off on the little Stevie Belichick stuff either. I mean, I don't think it's fair that he has been
The punching bag?
I really don't. I don't think that he intends to be on a power grab. It's been I've tried to document that Gerard Mayo is probably higher up the chain, and Bill's running the defense. I just don't think he's on the make the way people perceive him to be. So we can say what we want, but I'm just going to be on the record pushing back on beating up on little Stevie.
No, that's what
Steven.
So that's what it says in my rundown. I try to make my producers
Fair.
Just kidding.